Hi friends, thanks for joining me today. You may notice that I have some little dishes before me. It's a whole spread. You can't see it all because of where I put my camera, but that's okay. Today, we're going to talk about tea. We are going to talk about what tea is. We're going to talk about what is not tea. And we're going to talk about the different kinds of tea and what makes them different and their different flavors. And yeah, that's it. So it's probably going to be long. I have 18, 19 teas before me. But I think it's going to be fun. So, it is going to be long. So, make a cup of tea, sit back, and let's get started. Tea comes from one plant, Camellia sinensis. Everything else, if it's not Camellia sinensis, it is not tea. I will elaborate on that. Camellia sinensis has been grown and cultivated in China for thousands of years. At first, it was a medicinal drink, and now people just drink it for enjoyment. There are also health properties too. We'll talk about that in another video. There are lots of things that are not tea. Every now and then you might hear a beep. That is because the samovar is on. I have a pot of Irish stout tea on the samovar. I'll show you a picture of that somewhere. Here, there, probably here. And here is my cup of Irish stout. Here's a bag. This bag is made by Adagio Teas. I just noticed that they did Adagio for the Irish stout. This is their special St. Patrick's Day blend. I'm going to read the back. Celebrate the St. Patrick's Day with a different kind of brew, our limited edition Irish stout tea. Blended with Assam and Ceylon teas, cocoa nibs, chocolate, and cream flavors, and topped off with shamrock-shaped sprinkles. Add a splash of milk or cream, and you will soon be singing Erin Gobra. This is a 3 to 5 minute steep at 212 degrees Fahrenheit, which is what I did. Generally, on the samovar, we're going to talk about samovar another day. I'm not going to elaborate on that. I did want to show you this tea. So here it is. It's a black tea. You can see some cocoa nibs in there and fun little shamrock-shaped sprinkles that give it a slight sweetiness. Very fun. You will find the term tea on a lot of beverages today. Companies will say herbal tea. That's a misnomer. If it does not involve Camellia sinensis, it is not tea. There is a term for herbal teas. You can call them tisanes. You can call them herbal infusions. Honestly, you can call them teas as long as you say herbal tea. That's really what's known and accepted. If I told somebody who didn't know me and hasn't been following me for a while, if I told somebody, here, this is a beautiful tisane, they're not going to know that I mean this is a beautiful herbal tea. And that's okay. But we're here today to talk about actual tea, Camellia sinensis. So there are two accepted varieties of the Camellia sinensis plant to make tea. There's the Camellia sinensis variety sinensis, which is the Chinese and Japanese variety, the variety that originated in China. And there's the Camellia sinensis variety Assamica, which is native to the Assam region of India. Tea was discovered there later when colonizers were looking for a cheaper way to get tea from China, or not from China, so it would be cheaper elsewhere. So the Assamica variety of Camellia sinensis was discovered. I do have a whole research paper level write-up on the history of tea that one day I do plan to show you. Today, I just want to talk about different kinds of tea. So there are 5 accepted varieties of the Camellia sinensis tea. There is white tea, green tea, Oolong tea, black tea, and Pu-erh tea. Those are the teas. Now, sometimes you might get somebody who says, this is a yellow tea. Yellow teas are very rare, and it's closer to like an oolong as far as processing is concerned. And you will also hear some people say this is a red tea. So red tea can be two things. It can be rooibos, which is an herb, would be an herbal tea, a tisane. Some people will say this rooibos is a red tea. It's not actually tea. And black tea in China is called red tea. And we'll talk more about that one when I get to it. So, what makes the different kinds of teas? Lots of things can affect our beloved tea plant and the flavors that it produces. Some of those things are where it's grown, just the region and the climate in the region. So if it's in a mountainous area, it's going to be different than maybe a wetter, swampier area. Rainfall, soil quality, shade or direct sunlight, and then processing. Processing is the major difference between all of the types of tea. With white teas being the least amount of processed and Pu-erhs being the most. Generally speaking, there are some oolongs that actually go through a whole ton of steps to be processed, but that's okay because it's an oolong and I'll talk about that. We'll get to it. I have pages of notes because I don't want to forget anything that I want to tell you. Before we get started to the bulk of going through all of these teas that are in front of me, I'm going to mention two companies a lot. I buy most of my teas from these two companies, Adagio Teas and Art of Tea is most of what I have. It is not, those two are not the only tea companies in the world, of course, and you can find good quality teas from many, many providers. I've just been very happy with their teas, so that's usually what I buy. Not always, not exclusively, but frequently. So, let's get started. We're going to start with white tea. So I have three kinds of white tea. There is white peony. This is made by Art of Tea. So this tea is hand-picked. White tea is characteristic of being picked early in the spring. Maybe a couple weeks is pretty much all the time you have to pick a white tea. And it consists of 2 leaves and 1 unopened leaf bud. So this white peony is slowly dried. It produces a very fresh and sweet tea. It's named white peony because the leaves resemble peony flower petals, not for anything with its flavor. You would steep white tea for a very little time, maybe 170 degrees Fahrenheit, for maybe 2 to 3 minutes. This one is white peony. It creates, when steeped, the white teas create a very light yellowish. Get that nice and centered here. This one is called Silver Needle by Adagio Teas, and sometimes you can still see where the leaves and bud were picked together. It looks like I don't have any of those in here. Now this tea is very fuzzy. It's kind of fun. Did I say this one was an Adagio tea? It is. Individually plucked buds gathered for only a few days in early spring. The leaves are dried with heat to prevent oxidation. And the flavor is reminiscent of honeysuckle and sugar. It's beautiful, pointy leaves of this tea. Very gently processed here. And then we have a jasmine silver needle, also by Adagio Teas. So this is harvested just like the silver needle tea, but after the tea leaves dry, they're set out overnight underneath a blanket of fresh-picked closed jasmine buds. The night-blooming jasmine opens overnight, releasing their fragrance and infusing the tea underneath. This process is often repeated over several nights. So you can see this tea has a little bit, some of the needles are a little darker, and that's just because of the addition of flower material. Now there are no jasmine flower petals in this, but just the way it sits, the sitting out to basically dry longer causes that ever so slightly little bit of darkness. So next we're going to talk about green tea. This is a sencha by Art of Tea. Sencha is Japan's most popular tea, or most popular green tea specifically, but really most popular tea. Pretty much if you're drinking green tea in Japan, it's going to be sencha. It's harvested in the first flush, like white tea, those first buds of spring is called the first flush. The leaves are then steamed and then dried, and the result is a very savory and grassy cup of tea. And you can see that they still retain some of their green color here. Very basic green tea. Next, we have a matcha. This matcha is made by Mighty Leaf. Admittedly, this particular can of tea is very old. So you can see that's why I'm getting these little clumps of powder here. It's also not a super bright green, and I'm not sure if that's the quality of tea or because I know for a fact that my matcha is very old. I do have some new matcha, but I don't want to open it up yet. So this is what we get, this old powdered tea. So matcha is produced by grinding tencha tea. So tencha is another green tea. It is the tea that they use to make matcha powder. It's harvested in a very similar way to sencha, except it is shaded for 16 days at least during the early growing season. Then the leaves are picked, steamed and dried. It's not rolled like some other leaves are rolled. Then veins and stems are removed, and then the leaves are ground into a fine powder. Now, some matchas can be a very, very vibrant, almost emerald green. This one's kind of dull, but like I said, it's old. I've actually had this matcha for a few years. It still brews a pretty decent cup of tea, but it's definitely old, which is why I bought some new stuff. Tencha as a green tea is really hard to come by because it is produced almost exclusively for making matcha. You can find it sometimes, but it tends to be pricey because they produce an awful lot of matcha in Japan. Next, we have Jasmine Phoenix Pearls by Adagio Teas, also a green tea. I've got some matcha on the end of my spoon here. It's processed much like sencha. The tea is then rolled into balls by hand and placed beneath jasmine blossoms to absorb their flavor. It produces a soft and sugary flavor. So phoenix pearls are often called dragon pearls, and it's just a method of rolling the tea into these little balls. They're very fun to steep, and then as the water gets into them, they expand almost like a blooming tea. It's very fun to watch. Our next tea is this white tip jasmine by Art of Tea. And we can see there are some little white tips in there. It's lightly fired to maintain the silvery tips and then infused with jasmine blossoms the same way. It's laid out after it dries, blossoms are put on top, it infuses with the flavor. The flavor is crisp and floral. So technically, jasmine teas are flavored teas, and I've lumped them in here with their other colors of tea, and I'm going to talk about flavored teas at the end as well. Technically, jasmine teas are flavored, but not like it's still pure tea. It's still Camellia sinensis in your cup. It's just the Camellia sinensis has been infused with flavor. And last of our green teas, I have this gunpowder. Now, gunpowder is a green tea from China. This one is made by Adagio Teas. The leaves are gently rolled by hand into these tiny pellets. The flavor is often described as smoky. Frequently, a gunpowder green tea like this is blended with mint, and that is how you get Moroccan mint tea. It's from these tiny little pellets. So we can see, if you want to see them side by side, that is much smaller little balls of tea than the phoenix pearls over here. Moving on to the oolongs. So oolong is a tea that looks and tastes kind of like it's a half black, half green tea. It's usually very subtle and sometimes fruity. It produces a tea that's light in color, so sometimes green tea will be very, very green when you brew it. And oolong is maybe more amber in color. So this one is a jade oolong by Adagio Tea. This is made in Taiwan. It's a beautiful deep green in appearance with large, tightly rolled leaves. The jade oolongs are known for their fresh green floral aroma, sweet flavor, and a clean, delicate mouthfeel. Oolongs are lovely teas, but I have to admit I have not had this one. I realized when I was setting up for this that I only had one oolong in my stash. And this was, most of the other oolongs I found were blends, and I didn't really want a blend for this. So I did find that jade from Taiwan, which is nice. This one is one of my favorite teas. This is Tea Kuan Yin, sometimes also called Iron Goddess of Mercy. This particular one is made by Art of Tea. I also have a Tea Kuan Yin by Adagio Teas. One of my very, very favorite teas. It is the most famous and beloved of China's oolong teas. It is very time intensive to produce with well over a dozen steps. So I know I mentioned that our white teas have the least amount of production, with our Pu-erhs having the most, and the greens and the blacks and the oolongs fall somewhere in the middle. But this one, as an oolong, it does go through a lot of processing, and honestly, I don't know all of it. It's warm and soft, soothingly mineral in texture. This flavor has notes of toasted walnut and tender collard greens, an intriguing lingering floral aroma, and a gentle astringency. It's really a very, very fine tea. So there is the legend of the Tea Kuan Yin. According to legend, there was a farmer named, shoot, I have forgotten. That's definitely not his name. There was a farmer whose name I forget, who every day on the way to his fields would walk by a shrine to Kuan Yin. And he noticed that nobody was ever in there and nobody really tended it. So as part of his routine, he would stop and sweep out the shrine and bring offerings of fruits and incense, and otherwise keep the temple going, the shrine going, when nobody else really did that. And that just became part of his routine. And after a time, the goddess Kuan Yin came to him in a dream and told him I'm going to check my notes here. The key to your future, she said, is just outside this temple. Outside, the farmer found a seedling tea bush. He was charged by Kuan Yin to give this tea as a gift. After much care, the bush grew rich and full with thick green leaves. The lovely tea from those leaves was shared with and appreciated by all, and thus the magical tea Kuan Yin Oolong came into being. It is a very lovely tea, by far my favorite Oolong. Moving on to black teas, which are some of the most popular, or at least the most widely drunk teas in the world. This one is Assam Gold, made by Art of Tea. So all black teas are usually wilted, crushed, allowed to fully oxidize before drying. It's a process often referred to as CTC, crush, tear, curl. This tea is produced in India, named for the Assam region where it grows. It steeps to a rich golden color with a smooth, malty flavor. There are some people who would call this one of those yellow teas. It is a black tea. So tea we know, native to China and another variety in India. We have now found that tea can actually grow in many climates all over the world. And this black tea is from Kenya. It is called Mount Kenya Black by Just Tea. It's plucked and processed by hand in Kenya. This tea is strong and malty with hints of cocoa and dried fruit. There are no cocoa or dried fruit pieces in here. It is just black tea. Now, if we notice, we see how there are some very, very small pieces because this tea is split apart and broken and made into very, very, very tiny pieces. Like, let's compare it to something that wasn't rolled, like the sencha. So in sencha here, we've got decently sized leaf and leaf pieces, and then Mount Kenya Black has all of these little tiny pieces of tea. That's just a signature of black tea. Black tea ends up very small pieces. The Mount Kenya Black is one of my favorite black teas. I like to blend with it. When I make a blend that involves black tea, that's usually the black tea that I use. When I make blends that involve green tea, I usually reach for sencha. This tea is Qi-moon. Now, Qi-moon comes from China. This one is made by Davidson's Organics. It's actually pretty pricey. It's a very well-known tea. This is one of those that's commonly called a red tea. If you go to China and they say, would you like red tea? They mean this, Qi-moon. It's the best of China's black tea and the most famous, prized for its rich, toasty flavor, mineral flinty notes, and smoky, almost incense aroma. I can speak, honest. It brews red. It's brisk, I said smoky, toasty with tobacco notes. And if you could smell this, I think this tea smells very much like tobacco. But it doesn't taste like you're drinking an ashtray when you brew it. It's really kind of interesting. So I have several teas that use Qi-moon as part of their blend. Adagio makes a lovely tea that they only sell on February 29th called Brigadoon, one of my favorites, and it has a base of Qi-moon black tea in it. It's very fun to blend with Qi-moon as well. And to finish up our black teas, we have Lapsang Souchong. And we're noticing that some of these leaves are looking very similar to each other because of all the processing that black tea goes through. This one is made by Adagio Teas. It's processed like black teas, but then smoked over a pine needle fire, imparting a smoky flavor to the tea. Quality Lapsang Souchongs are not brashly smoky. The flavor of this leaf is sweet and crisp with a cool smokiness, almost like menthol. This black tea is from the Fujian province of China, famous for the smoky aroma. Admittedly, I have never had Lapsang Souchong. I bought it specifically for this video, so I'm excited to give that one a try. And now we are moving on to the Pu-erhs. I am going to wait for the samovar to stop bubbling. I'm not sure how much sound that actually picks up. Maybe it's not so bad. So this one is Pu-erh Dante by Adagio Teas. And we see this as a very brown color and quality to the leaves here. Not quite as little pieces as black tea. There's some bigger leaves in there. Pu-erh is a fermented tea. It is allowed to age over time and then dry. The resulting tea is not astringent or bitter, and the flavor can be earthy, reminiscent of mushrooms, and slightly fruity. It's often described as refreshing. It can be off-putting and slightly fishy. Pu-erh is special in that you can steep it for any length of time, from 30 seconds to 30 minutes, and it lends itself very well to multiple steeps without getting bitter. This one, let's see, soft, earthy flavor and woodsy tones, no astringency. I think I said that. This particular process of Pu-erh is described as having a clean, damp forest aroma of dried mushrooms, leather, and earth. It doesn't really sound super appealing. Additionally, I have never had a Pu-erh tea, but I've been meaning to, so here we are. This one is Pu-erh Po, also by Adagio Teas. A clean, woodsy aroma, warm hay inside a barn is how Adagio describes this tea. Mushrooms and savory vegetables. That doesn't really sound like a great flavor, honestly. However, if you've ever had the herb ashwagandha, it tastes like horse. So maybe Pu-erh is reminiscent of ashwagandha? Wilted flower notes and a faint dark chocolate texture, mellow and grounding. If the flavor is too strong for you, you can simply dilute it with water, which interestingly doesn't work for other teas. And finally, I want to talk about some well-known flavors of tea. I'm going to start off with my favorite. This one is Genmaicha, made by Harney and Sons. This is a classic Japanese green tea blended with toasted and popped rice. So you can see the little brown bits are the toasted rice, and during the toasting process, some of them pop open like popcorn. So there's the popped rice in there, and then there's a beautiful green tea as the base of this. Originally created to stretch short supplies of tea, it's now enjoyed for its warm and nutty taste with a lovely savory quality. It's very common in sushi houses. It's a hearty tea that has it's a great solution for those seeking a substantial but less astringent flavor from their cup. There are some holy people who, when fasting, will drink this tea because it makes them feel full. It should be noted that if you happen to be on a way of eating like intermittent fasting, this tea will break your fast. Probably one of the most famous tea flavors, this one is Earl Grey. This Earl Grey is made by Harney and Sons. So it actually came in a tea bag, and I want to show you that. I have cut open a tea bag to pour the tea out. Harney and Sons is a great drugstore level tea company. So most tea bags, I'll talk about this again when we get to the last tea. Most tea bags have just like dust in them. This is actually full tea leaves. Like it doesn't, I'll move that aside. It doesn't look all that different from the Ki Moon. So Earl Grey over here and Ki Moon over here. wrong side of my chopstick spoon. So we can see kind of large pieces of black tea in there. Now, Earl Grey is, there's some legend about how the flavor of it came across, but as a flavored tea, which a lot of people don't realize, it's a black tea flavored with the essential oil of bergamot orange. It's a zesty and exhilarating flavor, probably one of the most famous of the flavored black teas. The result is a black tea with a slightly citrus tinge. So there are many ways that you can flavor a tea to have the bergamot, which is a type of orange. Calling it an orange isn't quite right, but in the aromatherapy world, we often say bergamot orange. Most Earl Greys, or many Earl Greys, are processed with the actual essential oils. So after the leaves are dried, it's then mixed with essential oils of bergamot orange, and it creates a very, very strong flavor. Like the jasmine flavored teas, you could set the black tea out and put the rinds of the bergamot orange on top of it. That will impart some of the flavor. That tends to be a lighter citrus punch. And the last tea I want to share with you is English breakfast. So if we have a look at this English breakfast tea comes from a commercial tea bag made by New English Teas. I bought a huge tin of it. Sometimes I don't want to go through the whole process of taking my nice loose leaf teas and putting them in a steeper or in a pot to strain or something like that. Sometimes I just want to plop a tea bag in a cup. So that's why I bought this. And now we can see here, this tea bag, I'm going to show you what that looks like. It's just a tea bag with all of these little pieces in it. Let's compare it to something like the loose leaf Mount Kenya Black. Oh, I should have brought the Ki-moon out again. Ki-moon is one of the teas that's usually in English breakfast. That is, so look at that. The Mount Kenya Black is these nice big pieces of crushed and torn and cut leaves. And then this is really the fannings. It's the dust. It's the tiny little pieces. That's the cat meowing. Hi, buddy. You can kind of see it's like even the teeny tiny little pieces are sticking to the edges of my dish here. The fannings are the least good quality. Now, that doesn't mean that this is bad quality tea in this tea bag. It's just the leavings of it, the parts that are too small and broke off and just wouldn't fit in a loose leaf tea like that. English breakfast generally is used to describe any black tea that one might drink in the morning. It's frequently a blend of black teas, and it can be any blend of black teas. Assam, Darjeeling, Kenyan, Ceylon, Ki-moon. English breakfast tends to have more Ceylon tea, whereas the similar Irish breakfast has more Assam tea in it. So I want to look at these two tea bags. So this is the Harney and Sons tea bag here, and this is the New English Teas tea bag. And you see all of these tiny, it's hard to see through this, I know, all these tiny little pieces. And the triangle bags are great because there's room for the teas to expand, the leaves to expand as you're steeping them. That's called the agony of the leaves. Very beautiful. Poetically describing tea. And there we are, an exploration of a whole bunch of teas. All of them are tea. I hope you enjoyed this exploration of different types of tea. So they all have, I didn't talk a whole lot about this, they all have their own brew time, their own steep time. The whites, the greens, the oolongs, 2 to 3 minutes. The black, the Pu-erh, and the blends, depending on what's in them, are probably going to be 5. Tisanes, too, your herbal teas, you can steep those for 5 minutes or more. Remember, Pu-erh, you can steep for however long you want to, 30 seconds to 30 minutes. I'm excited to try that. So one of these, in an upcoming video, I will pull these teas out by type, and we'll do a side-by-side taste test of all of them. Maybe I can get some friends over to help us with that so we can all explore these teas together. That should be fun. I keep looking at my beautiful spread of tea. Then I have to put it all away. Thanks for joining me today. I am grateful for you. I hope you have a lovely, lovely day. And I hope you learned a little about tea and maybe want to try some of these. I will leave links to my two favorite shops, Art of Tea and Adagio Teas, in the description box. Most of the others you can find, Harney & Sons you can find at the drugstore or the supermarket. You can find some of these, my English breakfast tea bags came from Amazon. So did Mount Kenya Black, which is a very lovely tea. You can go direct to. You could go direct to Just Tea for that. Just Tea. But I will leave those two links there. I should note that not all tea is available at all times. I think there was one of the specific, I'm looking around to try to find it. The White Peony by Art of Tea is not available right now. I've had this for a few months. But I hope that you give some of this a try. If you're not sure what kind of tea person you are, that's okay. It's okay to explore. Adagio Teas, I know, has sample sizes. Art of Tea often makes sample kits. That's actually where I got most of these teas from, was when I bought a sample box of a whole bunch of different tea. I have yet to meet a tea that I don't like. I admit, I did mention in the last video that I tend to not add any sweetener or... Apparently, my microphone died. What I'm saying here is I tend to not add anything to my tea. I don't add cream or sweeteners, usually, unless the tea is meant to be served that way, like chai, for example. No shade to those of you who do add sweetener to your tea. That's perfectly fine, of course. Thanks for joining me. I'm grateful for you. I hope everybody has a lovely day. Bye. No. Thank you, buddy. Good. While the cat is busy with a plastic bag that I left out, because I left it out. So Camellia sinensis, pause for breath, I suppose.